Do you feel like you're overeating? Perhaps you feel out of control because every time you eat, you feel overly stuffed afterward. By the end of this video, you'll have 6 strategies that you can use to help you stop overeating when you want to. I'm Lara, the food freedom psychologist, and I can help you create a healthy and happy relationship with food without guilt or emotional eating. I hope you're enjoying my videos and getting so much value from them. If you are, be sure to click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and click that bell button as well. Side note here, if you are feeling overwhelmed and out of control around food, then sign up to my free Food Freedom Masterclass. It looks like this and the details are below. In my signature program, so many of the women that I work with feel like they have been overeating. Quite often, this is as a result of dieting for many years. After implementing some of the strategies that I'm going to discuss in this video, it's really helped them stop their overeating. In the Food Freedom Matters program, we have seen so many incredible transformations with people completely changing their relationship with food and their body image. And before we dive in, I have a question for you. Do you ever feel like you're overeating? If you do, let me know in the comments below. For years, I felt like I was overeating. I was so stuck in this diet and then binge cycle that I was used to either feeling really hungry when I was restricting or overly full when I was binging. So often I felt overstuffed and like I had a really distended tummy because I just couldn't stop eating. I found it so hard to control myself around food, especially when there were like buffets or dinner parties. I'd often find myself gorging on the very foods that I had sworn I was going to give up. It was really tough, and my journey to normal eating was a long and bumpy road, but the strategies I am going to share with you today really helped me stop overeating and heal my relationship with food. Tip number 1 is don't skip meals. I skipped so many meals. Sometimes that was according to the latest diet plan that I was doing, or just because I was trying to save calories because I was going out later. I would often skip breakfast, sometimes I'd skip lunch. I had a very disordered relationship with food. Then when I sat down to eat, I was absolutely ravenous and I found it so hard to not overeat. If I was going out to a restaurant, if I went to a friend's house where there was a snack table, I would gorge myself on the bread basket or on the crisps or any other pre-dinner snack. I honestly felt like I couldn't control myself around the food. And things got so much better when I started to eat more regularly and stopped skipping meals, because that ensured that I was never overly hungry for those kinds of occasions or even just dinner. Number 2 is to avoid unnecessary food restrictions. I would cut whole food groups completely out of my diet. I've actually been through so many different phases of my disordered eating journey. There was a time when I was completely cutting out fat, so I would avoid things like cream and butter. Then later it was carbs, so I avoided all carbs. I even got to the point where I wasn't really eating any fruit because there was too much sugar in it. At one point I was gluten-free, at one point I was dairy-free. Honestly, the list is endless. I will caveat this by saying I know that there are some people that need to avoid certain foods, like if you have a nut allergy or you're a celiac. But the point is that I had no good reason to be cutting these foods out. I was either doing it to cut back on the amount of food that I was eating or because of some sort of pseudo-scientific health reason. The issue for me is that cutting out whole food groups actually drove certain cravings. When I cut sugar, I wanted to eat more chocolate. When I cut carbs, I wanted to eat more pasta. This resulted in what felt like insatiable cravings. And then when I gave in to the cravings, I would obviously overeat because in my mind, I didn't know when I wasn't going to be allowed to eat these foods again. By stopping the unnecessary food restriction, it took away that overwhelming desire to eat those foods. Number 3 is to tune into your body's hunger cues. I mentioned earlier that I used to let myself get really, really hungry, like ravenous, totally starving. I tried all sorts of tricks to try and pretend that I wasn't actually hungry. I would drink water. Sometimes I'd even smoke a cigarette, try and distract myself, go for a walk. I really felt like hunger was something that I need to push aside to totally ignore. It was so much better for me when I started to actually tune into my hunger and honor that hunger. If I felt hungry, I would eat. Sometimes it was just something small, a little snack, but by tuning into those hunger cues, that allowed me to stop feeling overly hungry, which meant that I was less likely to overeat. Number 4 is to use mindful eating techniques. When I was restricting so much food, I honestly felt like a wild woman around food. I would scoff it down as quickly as possible. I wasn't really tasting it, wasn't really enjoying it. I certainly wasn't savoring it. When I learnt mindful eating techniques, everything really changed for me. I aimed to avoid distractions. I aimed to sit down, put my food in a bowl or on a plate whilst I ate it. I aimed to really appreciate and savour the food that I was eating. In fact, if you want to know more about these mindful eating techniques, you can watch this video here. Essentially, I was just trying to slow down, to savour, to chew properly, to appreciate the taste and texture. And this also helped me tune into my body better, that I could start listening when fullness was emerging. Tip number 5 is to add protein and fibre to every meal. So this is perhaps something that happened a little later. It was when I was starting to slow down, to savour my food, to use those mindful eating techniques, tuning into my hunger, and then I was eating more mindfully so that I could start listening to fullness emerge. I also found that adding protein and fibre was really helpful, because protein is what makes you feel full. Obviously, fibre makes you feel full as well. And by adding these to meals, it helped me feel full in a more satisfied way, rather than trying to just keep gorging on food that I had previously restricted. And my 6th tip is to plan ahead. Now, I know that meal planning can sometimes get a little bit of a negative reputation in the anti-diet world, because it's often very entrenched in diet culture. But I actually find it much easier now to put at least a little bit of time into planning my weekly meals. Now, I definitely don't fully meal prep. I don't necessarily cook in bulk, although sometimes I do, and I certainly don't eat the same thing every single day. For me, meal prepping is literally just about writing down what I'm going to eat on a daily basis, so that I can make sure that the stuff is in the fridge, so that I can make sure I've kind of nodded towards that protein and fibre that I was talking about, and also making sure that we're getting a variety of different foods every week, and also that it's simple and easy to make. Again, I'm a mum, I work. I don't necessarily have time to cook absolutely everything from scratch. I do believe in eating as many fruits and vegetables in a week and getting a variety of different foods, different colours on your plate. And so I find, for me at least, that meal planning helps me do that. So those are my tips. I hope you found them helpful. Let me know in the comments which one of them you're going to implement. And as always, I have added some resources and some links for you to explore below. And there's 2 books that I would recommend. One is called The Diet-Free Revolution, and the other is called Just Eat It. And both of them have some really great strategies to help you enjoy and savour food and stop overeating. And if you're ready to make peace with food, then you can sign up to my free Food Freedom Masterclass. The details are below and it looks like this. Check out these videos next for more health, food freedom and mindset tips. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and if you know anyone that might benefit from watching this video, please do share it with your friends. Bye for now.